She missed her flight, but the mysterious billionaire whispered, "This could change everything." It was an ordinary morning, but for Jenna, it suddenly spiraled into chaos. She dashed across the airport terminal, her heart pounding like a jackhammer in her chest. The overhead screens flickered ominously, announcing her flight was on the verge of departure. "I can't believe this," she gasped, her lungs burning. As she lunged for the last gate, a slick-suited man with piercing green eyes stepped into her path. Everything seemed to freeze. The world fell silent. Even the clamor of travelers faded into a muted backdrop. His voice, smooth and low, sent an unexpected shiver down Jenna's spine. "Missed your flight, did you?" he asked, a sly smile playing on his lips. It wasn't just any smile. It bore an unsettling charm, like a cat toying with a trapped mouse. She tried to brush past him, but his presence felt magnetic, drawing her in as if their fates were intertwined. He was tall, his shoulders narrow but commanding, cloaked in an aura of mystery. The air around him crackled with intrigue. Was he wealthy? Dangerous? Maybe both. Just moments ago, she was a frantic traveler concerned with boarding her plane, but now her life teetered on the brink of something peculiar. The man tilted his head slightly, studying her with an intensity that sent butterflies flitting wildly in her stomach. "I can help you, but it comes at a price." His words hung in the air like a dare, causing a lump to form in her throat. The airport buzzed back to life, but it felt distant, like the edge of a far-off dream. Jenna's mind raced with questions. What did he know? Why was he so interested in her? "Who are you?" she stammered, adrenaline spiking through her veins. Everyone around them moved in a blur, oblivious to the electric tension that crackled in the space between them. She was unmoored, floating in a river of uncertainty and desire, and yet she couldn't look away. He stepped a fraction closer, his voice dropping to a husky whisper. "Let me show you a world beyond your imagination. This could change everything for you." Time stretched out like warm taffy as she wrestled with his offer, heart racing and palms clammy. What was this man offering? A thrill? Danger? The chance of a lifetime, or a perilous game she wasn't prepared to play? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Jenna's breath caught in her throat. Could he really change her life? The prospect filled her with something between terror and possibility. She dared to glance around. Others had resumed their routine, but she felt locked into this moment with him. Was she brave enough to accept? Could anything truly change after today? The man's eyes glimmered with secrets, and she was desperate to uncover them. What lay ahead? Would she walk away? Or would she follow this enigmatic stranger into the unknown? Jenna's heart raced, the weight of his words pressing down like a heavy fog. "What kind of help are you talking about?" she managed to whisper, her voice trembling despite her effort to sound firm. His grin widened, revealing a hint of something sharp beneath that charm. "How about a jet?" The word hung in the air, its implications spinning endlessly in her thoughts. A private jet? It seemed absurd, an invitation too grand. Yet there was something in the way he said it that made her lean closer, drawn by the gravity of his promise. But why? She pressed, trying to peel back the layers of this enigmatic stranger. Every question ignited a new wave of tension. She felt the world closing in, her pulse thundering in her ears. "Let us just say," he paused, his eyes sparkling with mischief, "I have an interest in your potential. Imagine a life unbound by the mundane, Jenna. Let me take you somewhere you can truly discover yourself." It felt like a wake-up call, an electrifying temptation that made her imagination whirl. Real adventures. Real transformations. But a chilling thought struck her again. What do you want in return? She searched his gaze, looking for any hint of darkness lurking beneath the surface. His expression shifted, losing a bit of that playful arrogance. "You might just have to be a part of something bigger than yourself." The promise of mystery and danger crackled around them like static electricity, thrilling yet terrifying. For a heartbeat, Jenna considered her options. She could turn back to her ordinary life, crammed within a monotonous routine that left her yearning for something more. Or she could leap into the unknown. Okay, I'll do it. The words slipped from her mouth before she could catch them, an impulsive declaration that shocked her as much as it thrilled her. Smart choice. The slight smirk returned to his lips, now tinged with pride. Come with me. Without a second thought, he began walking, his strides long and purposeful. Jenna followed as if hypnotized, weaving through the crowd as if they were mere shadows cast by their own lives. Her mind buzzed with apprehension and exhilaration. She was walking deeper into a labyrinth she barely understood. Soon enough, he led her to a private entrance, sleek and polished, away from the bustling terminals. A subtle warmth flooded her cheeks. Instinct screamed at her caution, but curiosity pushed her forward. Keeping pace beside him, she nearly bumped into the towering doors of the jet. Wait, she said, halting as doubt crept back. What if I regret this? What if I'm making a terrible mistake? He turned to her, the weight of his gaze grounding her amidst all the psychological chaos swirling around. Every life-changing moment feels like a mistake before you see its true potential. You'll be surprised what you're capable of. With a pounding heart, Jenna stepped forward, adrenaline surging through her. Was this a journey to self-discovery, or a descent into lunacy? Anxiety wove through her soul like a taut string ready to snap, yet a spark of hope ignited within her for the first time in ages. Then she saw it, the approach of a black sedan, sleek and ominous, pulling up with an air of authority. Her breath hitched as shadows unfolded from the car's interior. And it dawned on her this world could be far more dangerous than she had imagined. Who are those people? Jenna's voice trembled on the brink of panic as fear flared up inside her. The green-eyed man's facade dropped for an instant, revealing the steely temperament beneath. Let me handle this. As he moved to meet them, Jenna felt the urgent pulse of her instincts screaming to flee. Was this the moment she would regret stepping into his world? Or were the stakes much higher than she could ever fathom? And just as she prepared to make a choice, the door of the car swung open. A familiar face emerged, someone she had never anticipated seeing again. Jenna, we need to talk. The voice sent a chill running down her spine. What did they want? Who would end up taking the next step? Jenna's heart dropped at the sight of the unexpected visitor. Alex. Her voice barely above a whisper, tinged with disbelief. Memories of their past rushed back like a tide, overwhelming her with emotions she thought she had buried. What was he doing here? Alex stepped closer, his expression a mixture of urgency and regret. I've been looking for you, he said, his tone laced with an intensity that peeled back layers of confusion in Jenna's mind. He glanced toward the green-eyed man, assessing him with an icy stare. This isn't safe. You shouldn't be getting involved with him. The green-eyed man folded his arms, maintaining an air of calm, yet Jenna sensed the tension crackling like static. And you are? He asked, his voice smooth but edged with hostility. Someone who cares about her, Alex replied, shifting his focus back to Jenna. You don't know what you're walking into. You don't know who he really is. Fear twisted inside Jenna as she struggled to comprehend the unfolding chaos. What do you mean? She managed to ask, her brow furrowing with confusion. I don't even know who you are right now. Alex's expression faltered for just a moment. Confidence wavering, he pressed on. I messed up, but I'm here now. You have to trust me. Trust? The word echoed in Jenna's mind. So many questions crowded her thoughts. Did she even trust herself? She flicked her gaze between the two men, the weight of their intentions hanging heavy in the air. Look, Alex, the green-eyed man interjected. I don't think you're in a position to give advice. Jenna made her choice. Jenna's anxiety morphed into a prickly anger. Why were they both trying to control her life? You're both talking down to me as if I'm some child, she snapped, each word dripping with defiance. I'm not asking for anyone's permission. I want to know what's going on. Alex stepped forward, his voice softened but still urgent. I just got a tip that the people he's involved with are dangerous. They're not just some wealthy elite, they have ties to things that could ruin you. Are you scared for me? Or are you just trying to keep me with you? Jenna shot back, seeing the emotion in his eyes. She didn't want to be anyone's pawn. I don't know. Alex exploded, frustration evident. But I can't lose you again. Not like before. A silence settled, charged with pent-up history and emotion. Jenna's mind raced, scrambling for clarity as memories of her past with Alex flickered like a film reel, each frame more complicated than the last. Then the calm, collected voice of the green-eyed man broke the palpable tension. Are you really considering this man's word over your own desires, Jenna? Look at where he's taken you before. You deserve more than what he represents. His words wrapped around her, and for a moment she felt the pull of his charm. He spoke with confidence, painting a future filled with opportunity, whispered promises of freedom. But Alex's presence was a reminder of her past, of the choices that had led her down a darker path. The air shifted as the ominous shadows from the sedan gathered closer, aware of the escalating confrontation. Jenna's heart raced, each beat a call for action. I need a moment, she murmured, stepping back from both men, her breath catching in her throat. Where are you going? Alex asked, concern churning in his voice. I don't know. Jenna hissed, feeling trapped. She glanced over her shoulder. The jet loomed behind her, a symbol of endless possibility or a gateway to peril. Behind her, the sleek black sedan felt equally claustrophobic, holding so many closed chapters. Then came the promise of something more. What if you had the chance to escape it all? The green-eyed man urged, taking a step forward. Torn between the magnetic promise of adventure and the ghost of her past, Jenna could only hold her breath, then whisper, what do I do now? But the dawning realization struck her. The decision lay solely with her. And just as she prepared to voice her answer, the chilling sound of sirens sliced through the air. Jenna, we really need to go. Alex shouted, panic spilling through the urgency of his words. Time raced forward, and she could feel the walls pressing in. Would she step toward the unknown or retreat back to the shadows of yesterday? As she took a deep, resolute breath, the clock began ticking down. Adrenaline surged through Jenna as the sirens blared louder, an insistent warning pulsing with urgency. She glanced back at Alex, his hazel eyes wide with fear. Then her gaze flicked to the green-eyed man, whose composed demeanor belied the chaos surrounding them. Jenna! Alex's voice cracked, piercing through her thoughts like a shard of glass. Please, we have to go now. She could see the shadows of authority creeping closer, their figures stark against the brightening sky. It felt absurd, surreal. One moment she was weighed down by indecision, and the next, she was teetering on the edge of a cliff, ready to leap into the unknown. The green-eyed man leaned in, an enigmatic smile playing on his lips, as if he was offering her a secret she couldn't quite grasp. What's out there won't just ruin you, Jenna. It will elevate you. His voice was low, seductive, and somehow soothing amidst the danger, pulling at her like a moth to a flame. Elevate? Alex scoffed, his anger rising. What kind of twisted charm is that? He's just using you. The sirens faded momentarily, drowned out by the pulsing uncertainty within her. Could she really trust either of them? The weight of her situation pressed on her, each heartbeat screaming for clarity. Enough! Jenna shouted, her voice piercing through the tension. She felt the power surge through her, a rare moment of control among the chaos. I need to think, while the cops are on their way. Alex's hands clenched at his sides, his frustration palpable. Maybe this is my chance to escape. An unexpected wave of defiance crashed over her. She threw a glance at the sleek jet behind her. The prospect of freedom shimmered. You're better than this, Jenna. Alex lunged forward, desperation coating his words. Your life isn't a game. Don't let him manipulate you. But the green-eyed man simply smiled, unwavering. I would never. This is about potential, he said, taking a step toward her. A life of excitement and purpose. You can choose to follow your dreams. Jenna's heart raced at his words. There was a thrill in the unknown, an undeniable intoxicating lure that felt like an invitation to a grand adventure. But at what cost? Alex's voice tightened. Think about everything we've been through. Don't throw it all away. Torn between the safety of her past and the allure of her future, Jenna felt the ground shifting beneath her. The sirens crescendoed once more, bringing with them the sharp clarity of her fleeting moment. It was a choice that would define her. With a shaky breath, she met both their gazes. I need to know the truth. The weight of those words hung in the air, Heavy with expectations, the green-eyed man chuckled softly, a glint of mischief lighting his eyes. The truth? You're stronger than you know, Jenna. Join me and I'll show you. As Jenna stood at the crossroads of desperation and desire, another set of sirens blared in the distance. The police were approaching and time was slipping. Decide quickly, the green-eyed man urged, his voice a languid whisper that sent a cool shiver up her spine. Your moment is now. Do you trust me? Alex's voice dropped to a whisper, raw and vulnerable. If you step away from this, you might lose everything. Would she follow Alex back into the shadows of what she knew? Or would she leap into the unknown with the green-eyed stranger? As sirens shrieked closer, Jenna's breath caught. With one heartbeat, the world around her faded. And in that moment, she realized her answer was more than just a choice. It was a breaking point. She was about to make a decision that would shape her destiny. But the sound of a car screeching to a halt made her heart race. Jenna, get back. Both men shouted simultaneously. What would she face next? The fates were unyielding, and Jenna stood at the precipice of her future, ready to go wherever this path led. The screech of tires clawed at Jenna's ears, bringing the chaos crashing back. A black SUV came barreling toward them, the engine roaring like a demon unleashed. In an instant, Jenna's instincts kicked in. She ducked, pulling Alex down beside her as the vehicle skidded to a halt not far from the jet. You have to choose, the green-eyed man insisted, his voice steady despite the sudden tension. He stepped closer, eyes locked onto hers with a fierce intensity. You can't let fear dictate your fate. Jenna's heart thudded violently against her ribs. The SUV's doors flung open, and uniformed officers poured out, their badges glinting ominously in the morning light. Each stride they took echoed of authority and warning, slicing through Jenna's resolve. Move now, Alex urged, grabbing her wrist and yanking her closer. The panic in his voice ignited something within her, a yearning for safety, for familiarity. But the allure of the green-eyed man's promise still tugged at her soul. Jenna, one of the officers called out, pointing directly at her. Come here now. Stay back, Alex shouted, stepping in front of her. You don't understand what's really happening. Jenna's pulse quickened as the sirens faded into a haunting silence, smothered by the weight of impending decisions. She was trapped between the looming authority and the enigmatic stranger, her thoughts a whirlwind of possibilities and consequences. Jenna, you have to trust me. Alex's voice broke through her internal chaos. His eyes searched hers, pleading, desperate. The green-eyed man smirked. Trust is a fragile thing, my dear. But I promise you, this could be your chance to break free from the mundane. Every instinct screamed for her to heed Alex's warning. Yet the thrill of the unknown felt like a cloud bursting into a maze of colors. She could see the jet, shiny and inviting her ticket out of the ordinary. But what awaited her there? Freedom or deeper entanglement? She glanced back at the officers, their faces stern and unyielding. This was it. Her moment hung suspended in time, teetering at the edge of decision. Choose, Jenna. The green-eyed man stepped closer, his voice low and coaxing, an intoxicating melody laced with danger. A life where you become the architect of your reality, or a life of regulation and limits. Fear twisted in her gut. Alex's grip tightened. What they're offering is real, Jenna. You can't just run away. Emotion caught her eye. One of the officers raised a radio to his mouth, his voice a distant but chilling reminder of the authority closing in. Damn it, Alex muttered, glancing back, panic flickering across his brow. In a heartbeat, the decision crystallized in her mind. She was no longer the girl caught in a routine. She was a spark, ready to ignite. Let us go, she shouted, surprising even herself with the confidence in her voice. She turned to the green-eyed man and he grinned as if he'd known all along, but as they dashed towards the jet, a sudden flash of movement to her left caught her attention. A group of officers appeared, blocking their escape route, the situation rapidly spiraling into chaos. What the hell? Alex gasped, his eyes wide as he pulled Jenna closer, leaving no room for hesitation. The air crackled with tension. Run! The green-eyed man yelled, moving toward the jet. Jenna hesitated, torn between the desire for adventure and the terror of being caught. As she stood there, breathless, the moment stretched, reality bending around her. Was this the leap she was meant to take or the last gamble of a desperate rogue? A voice echoed from behind, sharp and authoritative. Stop right there. Jenna's heart pounded in her chest, her world narrowing down to the choice before her. Would she break free or succumb to the world she was desperately trying to escape? The jet's engine started to roar, drowning out everything else, echoing the question in her mind. As the last vestiges of her old life flickered away, she made her choice. But the real question was, would it save her or lead her deeper into the abyss? The sirens blared anew, now mixed with the rumble of jet engines, and the line between escape and capture blurred. The moment ticked forward, and she had to decide if she was diving into freedom or a trap. Could she truly outrun her fate? The echoes of the past faded as the weight of her decision swept over her. Would she discover the power within? Or would she be lost to the shadows? The engine roared louder, urgency tightening around her, pulling her in. What lay ahead? Only one choice remained. The roar of the jet's engines pierced the air, mingling with the frantic calls of the officers. Time blurred as Jenna stood frozen, caught in the violent pull of uncertainty. Would she leap into the unknown or remain shackled to the life she felt slipping away? Jenna, please. Alex's voice surged in desperation. His grip on her hand was ironclad but filled with fear, a tangible reminder of the life she was leaving behind. We can't let them take you. But the urgency of the moment was overwhelming. The green-eyed man took a step closer, his certainty radiating like heat from a flame. This is your chance. You can't waste it. For a heartbeat, she could see the future unfurl before her, shimmering with promise and danger. It all felt surreal, like a dream just beyond her grasp. Would this be the beginning of something exhilarating, or a leap into darkness? As the officers shouted and closed in, she felt a flicker of instinct, a glimmer of rebellion sparking within her. Jenna, run! Alex yelled, and a surge of adrenaline shot through her. Everything narrowed to this one choice, with a primal scream echoing in her mind. She thrust herself forward, sprinting toward the jet. The wind whipped past her, filling her lungs with the scent of oil and fuel. She could hear the shouts from the officers, the sharp cadence of their commands falling behind her like distant thunder. The green-eyed man leaped onto the steps of the jet, turning back to her with an expression that shimmered between mischief and encouragement. Don't look back. Forget the past. Jenna paused for a split second at the foot of the steps, casting a fearful glance back at Alex. His eyes were wide, filled with a mix of horror and understanding. Jenna, don't do this, he shouted, his voice a desperate tether to her old life, but the pounding of her heart drowned him out. What was life without risk? What was freedom if it didn't come with the possibility of loss? With no time left to ponder, she surged forward, her foot hitting the plane's metal ramp as she leaped aboard. The door slammed shut behind her with a thunderous finality, sealing her fate. The green-eyed man was at her side, a satisfied grin splitting his face. Welcome aboard. Let us take off. The engines kicked into overdrive, the ground falling away beneath her as the jet began its ascent. She felt weightless, both high with exhilaration and tight with anxiety. She had chosen this path, yet shadowy doubts crowded her mind. What lies would this world spin? What powerful forces was she entwining herself with? As the ground shrank below her, Jenna heard the frantic yells of the officers drift into silence. In that moment of escape, a powerful realization settled within her, a dichotomy of thrill and fear. She had embraced the danger but left behind everything she knew. Who are you? Jenna finally turned to the green-eyed man, her voice shaky but resolute. There was an aura around him, one that both intrigued and terrified her. He shrugged, a twinkle in his eye. Just a man with an opportunity. You wanted more, didn't you? Your choice could change everything. What do you mean? She urged, curiosity igniting in her. She felt like a moth drawn to his flame, desperate for clarity in the sinuous shadows. Instead of answering, he stepped closer, lowering his voice to a whisper that slithered between them. You wanted to become the architect of your own reality. But are you ready for what's coming? Because trust me, Jenna, it will test everything you thought you knew. The weight of his words settled heavily in the cabin. An electric silence hung in the air, thick with the anticipation of both promise and peril. As she gazed into his intense green eyes, the engine roared on, a pulse beneath theirs. What unraveling truths awaited her? Would she seize the reins of her own destiny? Or had she stumbled into a dark game she didn't fully understand? The landscape spun below as they ascended higher, and with it, the stakes of her choice soared. What opportunities lay hidden in the chaos, and how far was she willing to go to uncover them? The horizon gleamed with a new dawn, and with it came a question that lingered, teasing her mind. Could this be her moment of awakening, or would she find herself devoured by the very darkness she sought to escape? The jet leveled off, cutting through wispy clouds, and the world below became a patchwork of greens and browns. Everything she knew now a mere memory. Jenna's heart raced, thrumming with exhilaration and fear. She turned to the man beside her, his green eyes flashing with an intensity that both daunted and captivated her. "What do you want from me?" she asked, urgency threading through her voice. The weight of his words lingered like a storm cloud. She sensed there was more beneath the surface, something vital he wasn't quite revealing. The smile broke across his face, yet it didn't reach his eyes. "Only what you seek, Jenna. Power and freedom. To bend reality as you will. But it comes with a price." Her stomach knotted. What kind of price? The adrenaline faded, replaced by an unsettling chill that danced along her spine. Was she trading one prison for another? "Your loyalty," he replied simply, the words hanging heavily in the air. "The kind that binds you to a cause greater than yourself." Before she could respond, the cabin reverberated with a sharp tone. The cockpit's communication system crackled to life. A voice dynamically burst into their bubble, drawing Jenna's attention away. "Sir," a disembodied voice announced, "we have unconfirmed radar contacts in Sector 7. Potential interceptors on the approach." Jenna's breath caught in her throat. She turned to the green-eyed man. "What does that mean?" His gaze hardened, every hint of mischief vanishing. "It means we have to prepare." Prepare for what? Panic set in and she could almost feel the air thinning. It was one thing to jump into the unknown, it was another to be flung into a battlefield. That he placed a steadying hand on her shoulder, his grip firm yet oddly comforting. "Stay close. Whatever happens, don't lose sight of why you're here." Confusion surged within her. She had no idea why she was here. Disregarding everything she once believed, she had run toward him, and now threats loomed like dark shadows on the horizon. The jet shifted slightly, turbulence pulling her from side to side as it veered. Jenna caught sight of the cockpit crew's frantic movements, the tension palpable. Heavy silence filled the cabin, and she could hear her heartbeat thudding in her ears, drowning out everything else. "What is going on?" she demanded, her voice rising over the anxiety gripping her. He turned his body, blocking her view of the cockpit. "You have to trust me, Jenna. There are greater games at stake here, and you are a part of them now." Games? The word sliced through her mind like a cold knife. Jenna felt the looming threat from within the jet, a gnawing clarity. What had she willingly stepped into? Suddenly, the cockpit door swung open, and the pilot stumbled through, his face pale as the color drained from it. "We need to divert. They're closing in." The green-eyed man moved with lightning speed, pushing past Jenna to intervene. "Get ready for evasive maneuvers." His calm authority seemed at odds with the panic flooding the cabin. Jenna clutched the armrest, her knuckles whitening. The jet began to dip, and the roar of engines shifted gear, a low growl resonating through the air again. "Hold on," the pilot shouted, voice rising above the crescendo of alarms. In that moment, Jenna's world shrank down to the boundaries of the jet, the chaos outside a distant echo. As they twisted through the sky, she felt her heartbeat synchronized with the pulse of danger. She'd chosen this, but had she bitten off more than she could chew? As the aircraft swerved again, her mind raced back to Alex, back to the life she had abandoned. "Jenna now," the man shouted, his eyes fierce. The question loomed larger than ever. Was this the beginning of her empowerment or the end of everything she held dear? As the jet banked sharply, a shadow flickered above them, an ominous swirl against the sun. Growing ever closer, what would come next? The unknown awaited still, and they weren't alone anymore. What lay beyond that shadow? The jet jolted violently, sending Jenna's stomach lurching. The green-eyed man gripped her hand, his fingers surprisingly warm against the chill of fear tightening her chest. The cockpit erupted with a cacophony of alarms as the pilot twisted the controls, desperately maneuvering to evade the encroaching shadow above. "Stay low," he shouted, sweat glistening on his forehead as he fought against the controls. Jenna swallowed hard. Every muscle tensed like a coiled spring. The adrenaline coursed through her veins, sharp and electric. Was it courage or sheer terror? "Can't you shake them off?" she yelled, her heart racing dangerously close to breaking. "They won't let go that easily, Jenna." The green-eyed man shot a glare behind him, eyes narrowing as he communed silently with the pilot. "We need to lose them fast." Outside, the shape loomed ominously, revealing itself as a sleek black fighter jet. It glinted menacingly in the sunlight, an aggressive predator circling its prey. Jenna felt the panic pulsing up her throat, raw and burning. "Who are they? What do they want?" Jenna's voice trembled, battling against the roar of the engines. "Answers," he replied cryptically, intensity radiating from him. "And you're the key." The words settled uneasily in the air. A key? To what? Jenna's mind raced to find answers, but every possibility seemed worse than the last. As if sensing her thoughts, the jet careened to the left, the pilot's deft hands guiding their escape. But the fighter jet mirrored their every move. "We're not gonna make it," she gasped, the weight of helplessness threatening to crush her spirit. "Don't say that. You have to believe we will." His eyes were fierce now, unwavering and powerful. The focus grounded her, and she nodded weakly, trying to find strength in his fierce determination. Yet doubt nested in her mind like a parasite. Another jolt sent the cabin spiraling into chaos. A boom echoed, terrifyingly close, the fighter's warning shot. Jenna clutched the armrest harder, her knuckles a ghostly white. Scraps of her old life flitted through her mind like frayed threads. Did they really mean anything now? Suddenly a full-body light bagged her senses. Time seemed to stretch, the world slipping away as she locked eyes with the green-eyed man. "Show me what to do," she cried out, adrenaline igniting something deep within her, a desperate will to survive. He turned, voice low and steady. "Okay. When I give the signal, I need you to pull this lever. It's the last line of defense, a countermeasure. Trust me. You can do this, Jenna." But the knot in her stomach tightened, uncertainty clawing at her resolve. She was just an ordinary woman, and this wasn't her fight. She mentally recoiled, casting her mind back to her old life, the mundane comforts of safety and predictability. How could she possibly be the one? The fighter jet flashed again overhead, dipping low, its massive wings cutting through the air like scythes. The jet screamed past them, closing in. "Now!" he shouted over the roar, and every ounce of hesitation evaporated. Jenna lunged for the lever, her hands trembling. The thud of her heart filled her chest, mixing with the throaty growls of the engines. She pulled it down with a primal scream, and in that moment, a burst of light filled the cabin, blinding and surreal. "What did I just do?" Jenna gasped, her head spinning with disbelief. But the fighter jet jolted. Its engine sputtered violently, and it veered off course, retreating into the cloud cover as an ominous silence enveloped the cabin. "What is happening?" She barely managed, fear igniting again. "Now we regroup and recalibrate," the green-eyed man said, his voice steady, though she could see his pulse racing just beneath the surface. "But this is just the beginning. Forces far beyond our control are in play." Jenna swallowed hard, dread pooling in the pit of her stomach. What awaited them after this chaos? What had she truly agreed to? And as peace settled uneasily over them, the jet glided through remnants of danger, shadows beneath the surface beckoning ever closer. What fresh peril awaited them beyond the horizon? The cockpit hummed with residual tension as the jet stabilized, but Jenna's heart raced still. The dark fighter seemed to vanish, yet the dread loomed larger than ever. The green-eyed man, still gripping her hand, leaned closer, his breath warm and steady. "This is your moment, Jenna. You just held off the enemy." "Yeah, but why was I even in the position to?" Frustration bubbled up alongside the hopes he offered. She couldn't shake the feeling that this battle somehow felt personal. What's really going on? He hesitated, and for the first time, she saw a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. "It's bigger than both of us. But trust me, you have a past that connects you to this fight." "What past?" The word felt heavy in her mouth, and yet a part of her craved the answer. "I don't remember anything unusual. I'm just me." "Exactly." His voice was a low growl, piercing yet calm. "That's the beauty of it. We'll need to dig deep." Jenna rubbed her temples, the warm buzz of adrenaline starting to fade. Who was this guy? And what was she getting herself into? But another part of her, a braver piece, welcomed the challenge. Just then, a shrill alarm pierced the cabin. Jenna's heart dropped. What now? She shot a glance at the pilot. Fuel warning. We need to land fast, he replied, fingers flying over the controls. Where? Jenna's voice tinged with panic again. Do we even have anywhere safe to land? The green-eyed man exchanged urgent looks with the pilot before turning back to her. There's a secluded airstrip nearby. It'll have to do. Secluded? You must be joking. What if they find us? The thought made her stomach twist. His grip tightened around her hand. If we don't land, we won't have the chance to figure out what's really happening. They spiraled lower, the jet weaving through clouds with a deftness Jenna wished she could muster. Below, the landscape emerged a patchwork of trees and muted colors, as if the earth itself knew the stakes were high. Hold on. The pilot barked. Jenna clutched her seat as the plane jolted again, dipping sharply. She glanced over at the green-eyed man, searching for assurance. What if they're already waiting for us? What if this is a trap? His expression hardened. Then we fight. Together. Fight. The word rang in her head like a bell, both terrifying and exhilarating. She never expected to be thrust into a confrontation like this. Yet it ignited a spark within her, a call to something greater than survival. The runway came into view, overgrown with weeds but still viable. As the pilot descended, he maneuvered with remarkable skill. The ground rushed up at them, and with a final thrust of the engines, they touched down with a loud thud. Relief washed over her like a tide, but it was short-lived as the engines sputtered and died. Hurry! We don't have time! The pilot shouted, and without missing a beat, the green-eyed man unbuckled and surged forward. Jenna wasted no time following as they fled the jet. Jenna caught a glimpse of the sky, a dark shape emerging through the clouds. Are they back? She felt cold fingers of fear wrap around her throat. Stay close! He yelled, scanning the tree line. But her instincts screamed at her to hide. Jenna ducked down beside a gnarled tree. Jenna! Get over here! But the moment she turned, a bullet hit the ground nearby, dirt flying like rain. Panic surged again. Run! He shouted, eyes wide and fierce. Everything fragmented into chaos. Heart pounding in her chest, Jenna ran, the thudding of her feet echoing in sync with her racing thoughts. She didn't know where to go, didn't care. It was survival mode now. Behind her, the unmistakable roar of engines grew closer. They're not done with us. What had she unleashed with that lever? And who was out to get her? As Jenna sprinted through the trees, she realized she was in a war far bigger than she could fathom. The green-eyed man couldn't be all that he seemed, and she was more than just an ordinary woman caught in the crossfire. Will they escape this next threat? Or is this only the beginning of something darker? Jenna sprinted through the thick trees, heart racing, limbs pumping with primal fear. The world around her blurred. Darkness and chaos chased her. The echo of gunfire rang through the air like a clock ticking down to an inevitable end. But beneath all the fear, something stronger surged, a will to survive, to find her strength amidst this turmoil. She skidded to a halt behind a dense cluster of bushes, peering through the leaves. The green-eyed man had taken position beside her, his focus laser-sharp. We need to keep moving, he said, voice steady despite the chaos. They won't stop until they have what they want. What do they want? Jenna gasped, breathless. The adrenaline was a double-edged sword, thrilling yet terrifying. The weight of the moment pressed on her, amplifying every second that passed. Answers, he replied, keeping eyes trained on the direction they had come. And you, Jenna, you're the key. There was a fervor in his tone that sent shivers down her spine. The implication of it all hung thick in the air. Clinging to her skin like cold sweat, she swallowed hard, trying to process his words. Why me? The question quivered in the silence, heavy with unanswered fears. I'm just a girl who missed her flight. Embers of determination glinted in his green eyes. You're not just a girl anymore. His voice softened, but the intensity remained. You chose to step away from your old life. That's more than most dare to do. Before Jenna could respond, another shot rang out, this time closer. Panic surged through her. We need to go now. She grabbed his arm, urgency gripping her words. Together they dashed deeper into the thicket, limbs weaving through the underbrush. Stick with me, he instructed. leading her through the trees with deft precision. She followed, fueled by the adrenaline but overwhelmed by confusion and fear. Who was he really? Why had she trusted him? Yet instinct kept her close. His presence was both a source of comfort and trepidation. As they stumbled into a clearing, the sound of approaching footsteps echoed behind them, heavy boots on the hard earth. Jenna paused, adrenaline making her pulse quicken even more. Her stomach twisted. It was now or never. Over there. The green-eyed man pointed to a rusted old shed, half hidden by foliage. Without thinking, they sprinted towards it, toes barely catching the roots of the trees as they moved. We need to hide. They ducked inside the musty structure, darkness enveloping them. The air was thick with decay, but they didn't have time to process the scent. The footsteps grew louder outside, voices bickering in low tones, searching for them. Jenna pressed against the wall, heart hammering in her chest. Are they here? She whispered, fear lacing her voice. The green-eyed man held a finger to his lips, silencing her. Moments stretched, wrapping around them like a wet blanket. Shadows danced outside as the voices grew tense. If we don't find her, the boss will have our heads, one grumbled, frustration interspersed with dread. Jenna's heart fell. The stakes were higher than she thought, a game she had unknowingly stepped into. They were after her, and this wasn't about adventure anymore. When the voices faded, the green-eyed man exhaled slowly. We need to move, he said, eyes hard with determination. But this time you have to trust me with everything. I don't think I have a choice, she replied, breath shaky but filled with a newfound resolve, the fear morphing into something sharper. Together, they slipped back into the damp air. The ground was uneven, treacherous, but Jenna felt a flicker of strength within her. A whisper of the woman she was beginning to discover. The others have already reset their path, he said, intensity simmering in his eyes. We have one escape route. Follow me closely. As they crept away from the shed, Jenna caught sight of the darkening skies above, a swirl of ominous clouds promising a storm. She wanted to run toward the light, to embrace change. But truth be told, the uncertainty gnawed at her gut. They navigated the wooded terrain, his presence grounding her. Then suddenly they emerged from the forest onto an old dirt road. This is it, he said, determination etched on his face. But before they could move further, headlights bright and blinding approached down the road, cutting sharply through the gloom. They froze, hearts pounding, adrenaline racing. Get down, he shouted, taking quick cover behind a boulder. Jenna followed suit, anxiety nipping her at every corner. Who is it? She whispered, peeking around the rock. We'll see, he murmured, tension in his voice. The vehicle approached with a slow, ominous certainty. The engine cut off abruptly, and the two figures emerged, silhouetted against the headlights. Jenna's heart sank. She recognized one of them, Alex. Jenna, he shouted, desperation tinging his voice. I'm here. We need to talk. Her heart twisted painfully at the sight of him. Memories of their shared past flooded her, sweet moments tainted by chaos. It's a trap, the green-eyed man hissed. You can't trust him. Torn between her past and the glimmer of what could be, Jenna swallowed the lump in her throat. Alex, she felt suspended in time, each second counting. We need to go, Jenna. Alex pleaded, eyes wide, fear evident. They'll find you if you stay with him. His words sliced through her like lightning, the old fears rushing back to life. Had she made a mistake leaping into uncertainty? But as she glanced at the green-eyed man, she felt that fiery spark ignite inside her. Trust? She repeated back, staring straight into Alex's eyes. No, I've had enough of that. The realization burst like fireworks across her mind. She was stronger than this. But the shadows of doubt lingered, clinging to her throat like a noose as she weighed her choices. Suddenly, a siren wail echoed through the darkness, blaring louder with every second that pulsed by. Jenna, don't do this. Alex reached out, desperation in his voice, but something unyielding came over her. In that heartbeat, clarity washed over her, and she pushed away from the rock. No, enough running. Her voice surged with newfound power, shaking with defiance. You both need to stop telling me what to do. She let the words hang there, alive in the charged air, the choice clear now. She would be the architect of her destiny, no longer a pawn in anyone's game. The roar of engines echoed closer, but she would not be drowned out. Let us go. she shouted, the feeling of freedom pouring in as she turned to the green-eyed man. We're leaving together. Now. In that crucial moment everything shifted. Follow me, he said, and as fear and uncertainty gave way, Jenna felt hope rising anew. They turned and raced toward the road, racing headlong into the unknown, hand in hand, ready to reclaim her story. But as they disappeared into the night, she could hear Alex's voice trailing behind, calling her back to the shadows. A choice had been made and there was no looking back. With every step, the weight of her past began to lift, opening up a world filled with possibilities, filled with her potential. What lay ahead, only time would reveal, but she was ready to face it all. And as they ran toward a new horizon, Jenna felt the embers flicker and rise within her. The fire was just beginning to ignite. The night sky shimmered with stars, and for the first time, she truly believed that maybe, just maybe, this leap would indeed change everything. So much was at stake, but a journey of freedom awaited just ahead. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this incredible conclusion. Instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this thrilling ending. You need to subscribe now, and this is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. True fans understand the importance of supporting the channel.